WorkflowFirst is an essential business tool for creating forms and workflow, helping you organize your business in no time. For this video, we'll take a quick look at how easy it is to create new forms and workflow using WorkflowFirst. So this is WorkflowFirst Tracker, where end users will normally manage their requests. To add a new form from Tracker, we click on the Forms tab here, and then we follow this link that takes us straight to the designer, which is what we use to create forms and workflow. The very first time that you do this, it brings up the setup form that gives you the option of installing the standard forms, such as those for document management, HR forms, and so forth. In this case, we only want to have our own forms, so we're going to click No, and then click OK to start the setup. Once that's complete, it'll take you to the form configuration page. Then we click on Add Form to add our new form. Help Desk Ticket. And here also we're going to add some of our fields in our form. This is just going to be the basic information about the fields for now. So we'll add title, we're going to add priority, a due date if that's required. We're also going to add in details, which is going to be paragraphs. I should also set the type of this to be date. And lastly, we're going to add in an attachment field, which will let them select a file. Let's click OK to create that form. And that takes us straight to the form configuration. Here you'll see a number of the fields that were added. You'll also notice that there are 3 additional fields that the system adds for you, which just store some information about who the requester was, a link to the actual request and the date that it was entered in. Okay, so that's our form definition. Now we need to add in the route, and the route is basically where the form is going to travel after it's entered in. So in our case, we want to add a task. Now you notice there are other options under here for route, such as setting it for approval, where it can be approved or rejected. A task is basically where it can be set as complete. You can also send it to notify only, so it just sends an email notification. You can add it to a list, or you can have it just run a script. So in our case, like I said, we're going to just assign it as a task. And we can send it to a user. We can also send it to someone with a particular title. If I select that, then you'll see the list of some of the employee titles that I've added. The asset supervisor is just if you have an asset defined in your form, which in this case we do not. But we're just going to stick with user and select a support engineer. That's going to be it for the route for this particular form. So you'll notice underneath the help desk ticket form that we have 2 tabs that interest us here. One is the list of fields, like we saw earlier, and this is a list of routes, and in this case, like I said, we're just going to have one route. So let's go ahead and publish that by clicking the button up there, and we'll just click OK. A couple of seconds later, it's published. So let's switch back to Tracker, click on Request, or just click on Refresh. Okay, so now we'll click New Request. Now, if you're already logged in as a user, then you won't have to select the requester, but in our case, we're going to select some user as the requester. And sure enough, there's our form that we just added, Help Desk Ticket. So we'll create a quick fictitious ticket. We'll just enter some information there and click OK. Now that's going to automatically send an email out to the support engineer that we defined. And once they receive that email, they'll have a link in there to click, which will take them directly to the ticket on the to-do list here. Let me just sign out and sign in as them so I can give you an idea of what that would look like for them. Okay, so when the support engineer logs in, you'll notice that there is a 1 next to their to-do title in the to-do tab. That tells you that there's a pending item. And sure enough, there's a ticket. And they get the option to either add their own internal comment on the ticket, or they can send a query back to the requester. And when they're done with the work, they'll click Set Complete. Now, if they're traveling, perhaps they have to go and visit the person at their desk, then they can also do this from their smartphone, because WorkflowFirst automatically has a smartphone interface. So let's click Set Complete here. Notice there are options also to enter in costing and time, and also some notes about perhaps a record of what they actually did. In this case, we're just going to click OK. So that completes the task. And that's also going to send a notification back to the requester so they can see that the work has been complete. If we log back in as some user, then we'll see our complete ticket right here. And that concludes a simple walkthrough of creating a form, adding a route, and then entering in a ticket to test that out. In future videos, we'll go through some more advanced options. Thank you.